$2.43. That's what sat in the guitar case on a freezing November afternoon in Greenwich Village. 4 hours of playing. 4 hours of people walking past like William Hayes was invisible. Maybe he was. William couldn't see their faces anymore. Diabetes had stolen his vision 3 years ago, slowly, like a thief taking one precious thing at a time. First the colors, then the edges, then everything. Now there were only sounds, footsteps clicking on concrete, car horns blaring, the scrape of his own fingers across guitar strings that had seen better days. The cold had settled deep into his bones. November in New York doesn't forgive old men sitting on sidewalks. The brick wall behind him leached warmth from his back. His fingers were stiff, joints aching, but they still remembered the shapes. The guitar was a 1952 Martin D-28. His father brought it back from Korea. Gave it to William on his 21st birthday with shaking hands and tears in his eyes. "Take care of her," his father had said. "She'll take care of you." William had kept that promise for 47 years. The guitar was held together with duct tape now. 2 tuning pegs broken, finish worn down to raw wood where William's hands had touched it 10,000 nights in dive bars and wedding halls and jazz clubs that didn't exist anymore. The sound hole had a crack running through it like a scar, but she still sang. William's fingers found the opening chords to "Don't Think Twice, It's All Right," Bob Dylan, the song his wife Margaret used to request every night before bed, before the cancer, before she died in a hospice room while William held her hand and tried not to break. A businessman walked past, briefcase swinging, didn't stop. A couple crossed the street, avoided eye contact. A teenager dropped a dime without breaking stride. William kept playing because what else was there? 50 feet away, walking down Bleecker Street with his collar up against the wind, was Bob Dylan himself. In 3 minutes, everything would change. But William didn't know that yet. Dylan heard it before he saw it. A voice, old, weathered like driftwood, carrying something that made his feet stop moving without permission. Someone was singing his song, not performing it, not covering it, living it. Dylan turned his head, scanned the sidewalk. There, slumped against a brick wall like forgotten furniture, an old man with dark sunglasses and a white cane, playing a guitar that looked like it had survived a war. The man's fingers moved across the fretboard without seeing it. The music came from somewhere deeper than sight, somewhere primal, somewhere Dylan recognized because he'd been there once. Dylan knew that guitar, not that specific one, but that type, the kind you keep playing after it breaks, the kind that becomes part of your body, the kind you'd rather die than give up. He'd owned a guitar like that once, before the fame, before the money, before everyone wanted a piece of him. People flowed around Dylan like water around stone. Nobody recognized him. The sunglasses helped. Nobody expected Bob Dylan on a Greenwich Village sidewalk at 3 p.m. on a Thursday. The old man finished the verse. His voice cracked on the last note, but the crack made it more honest. Dylan made a decision. He walked toward him. William felt someone stop. Not drop change and leave. Actually stop. Standing there, listening. He could sense the presence. The way blind people learn to sense when someone is looking at them. The shift in air. The weight of attention. "That's a Dylan song." Male voice. Younger than William. Something familiar he couldn't place. William's fingers kept moving. "Been playing it 15 years. You play it different than most people. Most people don't understand what it means." William's voice was rough, gravel sliding down metal. "They think it's about leaving someone. It's not. It's about acceptance, about knowing when to let go." Pause. "That's exactly right." William stopped playing. His hands went still on the strings. "You're not just making conversation. No, you stopped for a reason. I stopped because you play like someone who needed that song to survive." William's throat closed. Because it was true. After Margaret died, after the darkness came, Dylan's music had been the only thing that made sense. "What's your name?" the voice asked. "William Hayes. Played guitar my whole life. Nothing famous, nothing important. Just played." Music doesn't have to be famous to be important. Then William felt someone sit down beside him. Not crouch politely, actually sit on the freezing concrete. He heard the scrape of denim against sidewalk, felt the warmth of another human body close by. Imagine being 68 years old, blind, forgotten by the world, and then imagine feeling someone choose to sit with you in the cold. That's what William felt. When did you lose your sight? The voice asked quietly. 3 years ago. Diabetes took my wife first, then took my eyes, like God wanted to make sure I couldn't see her grave. Silence, then, I'm sorry. Yeah, me too. William's fingers found the guitar again. You play? A little. Bullshit. Nobody stops to listen like you're listening unless they understand music from the inside. A soft laugh. You're perceptive. Can't see. Have to be. A woman across the street gasped, hand to mouth, eyes wide. Oh my God, that's Bob Dylan. The words spread like fire. Whispered, electric, urgent. Bob Dylan, sitting on a sidewalk next to a blind man. Within 2 minutes, a crowd formed. Not pushing, not shouting, just gathering. Because they could sense something rare happening. Something fragile that could break if handled wrong. William heard the murmuring, the shift in atmosphere, the gathering of bodies. What's going on? People are stopping. Why? Dylan hesitated. Because they recognize me. William's fingers froze on the guitar strings. Who are you? Bob Dylan. Silence. Then William laughed, sharp, bitter, disbelieving, like broken glass. You're joking. I'm not. Bob Dylan. William shook his head slowly. Of course this happens after I lose my eyes. I've been playing your songs for 15 years. I've listened to your albums so many times I wore the groove smooth. I used to tell Margaret you were the only songwriter who understood that sadness and beauty could live in the same sentence. Thank you. And now you're here, sitting next to me, and I can't even see your face. Maybe that's better, Dylan said quietly. Most people only see the surface anyway. William went still, because that was true, because he'd spent 3 years being invisible, and now the most famous musician in America was sitting beside him in the cold. William couldn't see Dylan's face, but he could hear his voice, and hearing was enough. What would you do if the person you'd admired your entire life sat down next to you in your darkest moment? William was about to find out. How'd you end up here? Dylan asked, gentle, not prying. Traffic noise filled the silence. The crowd waited. 40 people now, maybe 50. William's fingers found the guitar again. I was a session musician, 40 years, nothing glamorous, played on commercials, backed up singers nobody knows, wedding gigs on weekends, but I loved it. What happened? Deep breath. Margaret, my wife, she got sick, cancer, took 2 years to die. We spent everything trying to save her. When she went, I had nothing. Dylan listened. The crowd listened. Nobody moved. Then the diabetes took my sight. Suddenly I couldn't read charts, couldn't do session work. How long have you been on the streets? 6 months. Jesus. I've got a room at the Y when I can afford it. $18 a night. Some nights I can't. Those nights I sleep in doorways. The November wind cut through the street like a knife. You could smell the city, exhaust fumes, hot dogs from a cart down the block, the metallic scent of coming snow. Dylan was quiet. When he spoke again, his voice had changed. When I first came to New York, I was 20, had a guitar and $12, slept on couches, floors, sometimes in parks. William turned his head. Really? Really? I know what it's like to count change from a guitar case and wonder if it's enough for food. But you made it. I got lucky, but luck is just preparation meeting opportunity. I'm 68, William said quietly. I'm not sure opportunity's coming anymore. Pause. How much is in the case? $2.43. 4 hours. Dylan looked at the broken Martin. He could see the craftsmanship underneath. That's a 52 D28. William's eyebrows rose. You know guitars. I know that guitar. That's a $600 instrument, even in this condition. My father's. He brought it back from Korea. Gave it to me when I turned 21. I'll die before I sell it. I understand. Because Dylan did understand. He understood what it meant to hold on to the last piece of something precious. Can I tell you something? Dylan asked. William nodded. I've walked past hundreds of street musicians in my life. I never stop. So why me? Dylan was quiet. The crowd leaned in. You could hear the city breathing around them. Because I heard something in the way you were playing. You weren't performing, you were surviving, and I couldn't remember the last time I heard someone play that honestly. William felt tears pressing behind his dark glasses. I don't know how to do anything else. I know. That's why I stopped. I've been invisible for 3 years. William's voice cracked. People look at me and they see broken, finished. They don't see that I'm still here, that I still have music inside me. Dylan's hand found William's shoulder. Firm. Real. I see you. You don't even know me. I know you better than you think. I know what it's like to feel like the world doesn't have a place for you anymore. The woman in the crowd, beige coat, pearls, had tears streaming down her face. A man in a business suit had stopped checking his watch. They were all just standing there, witnessing. Have you ever watched someone be seen for the first time in years? That's what was happening. I need to know something, William said. Does the music still matter? Yes. Dylan's voice was steel. Always. The music is the only thing that matters. Dylan stood. The crowd stirred. Thinking it was over, it wasn't. Dylan turned to face them. 50 people now, maybe 60. Any of you play guitar? Hands went up. Dylan pointed to a young man. You? Yeah, 3 blocks away. Go get it. This man needs a better guitar. The young man ran. Dylan sat back down. While we wait, play me something. William's hands shook. I don't know if I can. 4 more minutes won't kill you. William's fingers found the strings. Mr. Tambourine Man. Slow, careful, every note deliberate. Then Dylan started singing, quietly at first, then louder, that distinctive voice filling the cold November air. And William played, blind but seeing more clearly than he had in 3 years. The song ended. The crowd exploded. Real applause, the kind that means something. The young man came running back, guitar case in hand. I got it. Dylan opened the case. Inside, a clean Martin acoustic, 6 perfect strings. What's your name? Daniel Garcia. Dylan checked the tuning, handed it to William. Try this. William took it carefully, explored the neck, strummed once. The sound rang out clear. Perfect. Whole. William couldn't speak. I can't take this. Yes, you can. It's too much. Daniel knelt down. Mr. Hayes, I'll buy another guitar. You need this more than I do. William was crying, not hiding it. Why? Because Bob Dylan asked me to, and because it's right. Dylan reached into his jacket, pulled out his wallet, counted bills carefully. William. Yeah? I'm giving you money. Don't argue. He pressed the bills into William's palm. William's fingers counted automatically. $500. I can't. When I was starting out, people helped me. They gave me places to crash. They believed in me. I can't pay them back, but I can pay it forward. William was shaking. What do I do with this? Get a room, buy food, get your medication, and keep playing. I don't know how to thank you. Then Dylan did something nobody expected. He took off his sunglasses, placed them in William's hand. What are these? My sunglasses. So you remember this day. So you remember you're not invisible. You matter, William. Your music matters. William held them like they were sacred, because they were. I have to go. Dylan stood. But promise me something? Anything. Promise me the music doesn't die. I promise. Good. Dylan paused. Because the world needs what you have. Then he walked away. Hands in pockets, collar up. The crowd parted, silent, understanding. William sat there, holding a new guitar, holding Bob Dylan's sunglasses, crying like he hadn't cried since Margaret died. Someone asked, will you play something else? William nodded, positioned the guitar, found the strings, and played. For the first time in 3 years, William Hayes didn't feel invisible. 1980, a music journalist tracked down William Hayes, found him in a small apartment, still playing, still surviving, no longer on streets. What happened after that day? William smiled. People remembered. Daniel came back with information about veteran services. Dylan's money bought me 3 months to get stable. You kept playing? Every day, same corner. People stopped because they'd heard the story. They paid, not charity, payment for music. Do you still have the sunglasses? William walked to a shelf, opened a small box. Inside, Bob Dylan's sunglasses. I'll never sell these. They're not worth money. They're worth memory. Did Dylan come back? No, but he gave me something else. What? He gave me my dignity back. He looked at me, really looked, and told me I mattered. The story ran in the Village Voice. The day Bob Dylan stopped walking. Dylan never commented. When asked, he said, I met a musician who needed help. I helped. He played that Martin until he died in 1989, age 82. His obituary mentioned he'd been a session musician, a Korean War veteran, a street performer who once sang with Bob Dylan. At the funeral, Daniel Garcia performed Don't Think Twice, It's All Right, and in the front row sat a small box containing sunglasses. Because this isn't about celebrity charity, it's about one musician recognizing another. It's about stopping when everyone walks past. It's about looking someone in the eye, even when they can't see you, and telling them they matter. William Hayes mattered. His music mattered. And Bob Dylan stopped walking long enough to make sure William knew it.